Hey guys, and welcome to my first study Q&A video. I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any study related questions that you wanted to ask, and I've put together sort of the most asked questions that I get into this video because I get asked similar questions really frequently, and I thought it'd be quite nice for you to have a permanent place where you can refer to if you've got any questions about any of the topics I'm going to talk to about. So let's get into the questions. One of the most asked questions that I get is, how do I stay motivated? I'm just going to throw it out there as a disclaimer. I am not always motivated. I don't always want to work, I don't always want to revise. I am human and I have days where I'm just not feeling it at all. Like I had this on Friday, I think it was. It's Monday now, I had this on Friday. And when I have days like that, I just take a minute and sort of have a break, don't do any work for a couple of hours, because if I'm not feeling it, then I'm not feeling it. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to get a lot done. But one thing that does keep me motivated and does keep me going and kind of pushing past those days where I'm not feeling so motivated is having a goal in mind. And I think this is so important for keeping motivated. And if you don't have a goal, then I advise you to kind of sit down and just take a moment and write out what you want to get out of what you're currently working towards. For me, I think it's really important to have a long-term goal, and because I'm over-ambitious all the time, my sort of long-term goal is to get into a university like Oxford or Cambridge, or at least a high-ranking Russell Group university. So that's my long-term goal, and then my short-term goals are sort of get the best results possible in GCSE, which will allow me to get into those universities, work really hard at A-levels, expand my knowledge, things like that, little stepping stones that will help you achieve your long-term goal. And I think it's really important to remind yourself of this goal once you sort of set it. So if you're ever feeling unmotivated and you don't want to do some work, then sort of sit down and read over what your goals are and remind yourself of why you're doing all this hard work and why this hard work counts. Also, I think it's really important to remind yourself that these long hours of studying and revision, they don't last forever, and you won't be revising geography for your entire life. But the results that you do get do last forever. And I know everyone drones on about this, but it is true. And you will carry these results with you for the rest of your life, so you may as well make the most of the time that you have. Another question that I got asked was, how do I stay motivated at the weekends? So as you guys may have seen if you watched my previous video on Study With Me on Sunday, I do a lot of hours on a Sunday. That's my main sort of study period. And what keeps me motivated for these days is kind of having a plan prior to them. So on Saturday night, I will sit down with my bullet journal and I will write a list of what have I got this day, what have I got to get done. And then on Sunday, I can get up and I know exactly what I've got to do that day. Because I know that if you don't have a set plan, kind of umming and ahhing on what to do all day, and you can easily get distracted and you can easily get sidetracked with things that maybe aren't as important. Another thing that keeps me going on a Sunday or a day where I'm doing lots of revision is having regular breaks. And I know everyone says this, but it is really important. And by a break, I don't mean kind of half the day break. I don't mean you do an hour of work and then 6 hours of break. I mean doing like an hour and a half of work and then maybe like 20-minute break. That's something like I have. So I'll do an hour to an hour and a half of subject, and then I'll have between 15 minutes and 30 minutes depending on how tired I am and how willing to do work I am. And take this time to refresh yourself and eat, drink, check your social media. That's what I normally do. And then when you go back to work, you'll feel kind of motivated all over again because you won't be tiring yourself out. And as you do in sport, you'll be pacing yourself. Another question that I get asked quite frequently is, how do you learn many things in a short space of time? And I'd just like to say firstly that I don't think cramming is ever a good idea, but I mean, if you have left it to the last minute and if you do need to cram, then my main advice would be learn the main concept of a topic. So for example, for science, if it's a process that you've got to know, make sure that you understand what that process is and kind of the importance of that process before you kind of delve in and try and learn the details of it. Because if you understand the whole thing, then you'll also find that it's a lot easier to sort of memorise the details that come with that. Another question that I got asked was, how do you stay disciplined? And like I said before with the weekend thing, I think the most effective way to stay disciplined is to plan your work, and this can be a timetable, it can be a schedule, to-do list, things like that. So when you sit down to do your work, you've got no excuse because you know exactly what you should be doing, when you should be doing it, etc. Another important thing that helps me stay disciplined is eliminating my distractions when I want to sit down and I want to do some work. And for me, my biggest distraction is my phone. I'm so guilty of, if my phone is in my room, I will want to check it. I can't help myself. So what I do is I put it downstairs, in the kitchen, in the living room, wherever, and I'll leave it down there. So then in my bedroom, I know it's not there and I'm not tempted to check it. And then also, as I said, in breaks, I will check my phone. I'll go downstairs and I will check it. So then when I come back up, I know that, nothing's happened, the world hasn't blown up. This sort of links in with a question that I frequently get asked, and that is, where do I study? I study at my desk, and I think it's really important to have a space like a desk where you can sort of spread out your revision, leave it there if needs be, have pens ready, stationery ready, notebooks, and I think it's important to have a place where it's quiet, and when you're there, people know that you're there to work and therefore won't distract you as much. You don't have to have a desk to do this. It could be the dining room table, it could be outside, it could be wherever, as long as it's quiet and you know that when you sit down, you're there to work. And I think it's really important to have a sort of workspace, and for me this is my desk. So when I sit down at my desk, I know that it's time to work. And this is why I don't also revise in bed, because then when I get into bed, I know that I'm just there to sleep, unless I'm reading. So I think it's really good to have these associations with places, because then you're also kind of programming your brain. So when I sit down at my desk, it's time to work. When I go to bed, it's time to sleep, if that makes sense. A question that I also get asked quite often is, do you listen to music when you study? And the answer to that is simply no. I've tried in the past, but I always find that I'm tempted to listen to the lyrics or dance along, that often happens when I try to. So if I do listen to music, I will listen to kind of calming music really quietly, or like classical really quietly, but I don't tend to, because I don't find that I really need it. I don't find that it helps me. I know that it does help some people, and I've got nothing against people listening to it. I know friends that listen to rap and pop. What I would say is that I definitely use music to kind of de-stress in the evening and to take my mind off work and exams. I do have a de-stress playlist on Spotify. If you're interested, I'll link that down below. So thank you guys for watching this video, and please do let me know if you have any other questions, because I may film another study Q&A video, or it doesn't even have to be study related. So if you did like this video, please do let me know down below, and comment any suggestions as well on videos that you'd like me to do, because I want to put out content that you guys want to see. So if you want to see how I revise a certain subject, how I do certain things, another study with me maybe, whatever, just comment it down below. Bye!